And then the rumor mill is, well, it was a fan theory, it was a punchline, it was a running joke for years. Now it's been confirmed. We actually do know that the certain someone is actually in the MCU. It's been revealed in Ironheart. You already know what I'm saying by just doing that. We are also going to be digging into a certain school for gifted youngsters, if you catch my drift. Rumors surrounding a new series and how that's going to factor into the MCU at large and before the movie comes out and all the things. And we also potentially, according to the rumors, have certain Jedi Master returning for another season of his titular show that seems to kind of be out of the blue, if you ask me, to be quite honest, and things and stuff. We've got some interesting rumors, a confirmation, and a whole bunch of stuff. So let's talk about the rumor mill, shall we?
Maybe. It's classified.
Welcome, nerds, to the Clips channel. This is the reason why I'm convinced most people watch The Week in Nerddom as a whole. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, over on the main channel, Generally Nerdy, this is a small portion of the main show that I do on that channel called The Week in Nerddom. We talk about movie news and gaming news and comic books and so on and so forth. And we talk about the rumor mill as well, which, you know, that's why you tuned in, because you want to hear all of the juicy gossip as to what's going to be happening in the pop culture sphere of things, comic book movies, comic books, etc., etc. We get into every aspect of the nerddom here as it pertains to what is rumored to be happening, or we're going to kill some rumors, or we're going to shoot some stuff down based on the weakness of the person who is leaking the information, the rumor monger, if you will. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Let's jump into the rumor mill, shall we? All right, so before we get any more further, or however far along we are, I just have to take a moment and we're going to talk about DUBBY real quick. This is the only one I have here in the studio right now, but I do have the s'mores in my kitchen, and I finally came, and I can 100% certify that it's yummy. It's a little dangerous. It is just as much caffeine as every other DUBBY that you get in the caffeinated Dubbies anyway, because they do dehydrated doo-doo. They also do the hydration drinks, but the energy drinks, they all have about 250 milligrams caffeine. The s'mores is no different, so keep that in mind when you're mixing it with your milk instead of water. It's super yummy, so you can drink a lot, but maybe only have the one or two for the day. But it's legitimately hard to stop at one or two for the day, gotta be honest. Anyway, DUBBY has partnered with the channel. I'm super grateful for their contribution. You can check out the link in the description, or you can just go to dubby.gg and use code GenerallyNerdy at checkout, and you will get 10% off of your whole cart. That's everything in your cart. A lot of the specials that they run on the site are just for the energy drink tubs or the hydration tubs, but my discount gets you 10% off of everything in your cart. You can't stack discounts, but you got to kind of figure which one's going to get you the better deal. 10% is pretty good when you go on everything, because you're going to need a mixer bottle too. Like, why not? They're only like $8 or something. So yeah, pretty awesome. Go check out GG. Super appreciative for their support. Let's get back to the video. All right, confirmations, refutations. Technically, we have a couple of confirmations this week for the rumor mill. First up is the Street Fighter thing. Like, seriously, what the hell is that cast? Wow. And other confirmation is Mephisto. We now officially know that Sacha Baron Cohen is in fact playing Mephisto because he was in Ironheart. The most recent episode, the last episode of the season. I wasn't watching it. I've just been reading the news because, wow. But screen captures and things have shown us what Mephisto looks like, and Sacha Baron Cohen looks pretty decent as Mephisto. No word exactly what this means for the character moving forward in the MCU, though generally speaking, they like to sign 5-picture contracts, 3 movies where the actor is heavily featured, and then 2 movies where they do cameos. This is kind of a modification of that, I'm sure, because this cameo is not in a movie, it's in a TV show, but it's still a cameo, so probably we're going to see him in a couple of movies. Very likely the 2 Avengers movies and maybe something else attached to it, like, say, Spider-Man, though that could be the other cameo, who knows. At this point, we just know for sure we have a Mephisto. How long we have a Mephisto is kind of up in the air. Let's get into news sources for old rumors, because we've got a couple of them this week. First up is Star Wars Starfighter. We now have word, not officially, but word, that she very likely is going to be playing the villain. So kind of what I predicted in the last one, because you can't see Gosling as a proper villain. An anti-hero, I can see that. He's done that kind of a couple of times, but as the villain, as the antagonist of the story, he's not gonna do that. He's too pretty. Mia Goth, on the other hand, doesn't give a shit. She's pretty awesome, and her being the villain, I think, is kind of a cool thing. The other follow-up, or news source for old rumor rather, is Thor. This news source elaborates on the fact that we are going to be getting a 5th Thor movie, and they even have a name for it called Thor Quest. I don't think this one's legit. Honestly, if we were giving percentages on news sources for old rumors, this would kind of drop the likelihood that we're going to see a new Thor movie, though I do still think we are going to see a new Thor movie, but just one new one. Anyway.
Subscribe. That is all.
From there, let's talk about new rumors, because that's why you're actually here, right? So, first up, we have The Sound of Music is getting remade, and not just that, but Rachel Zegler is going to be playing the lead in The Sound of Music. All right, so if you've never seen The Sound of Music because you're a little too young for it, because it came out in the 70s, 60s, something, which is a little before my time even, because I'm not that old. Let me give you a little bit of a recap of the story. It takes place in Nazi Germany. Rachel Zegler is not exactly somebody who would survive very long on the streets of Nazi Germany, if you follow what I'm saying. So, like, I feel like with Disney trying to course correct and like actually make money, this does not jibe with what we have seen to be true, because things have been changing. Look at the recent changes with Elio, look at the recent changes in the MCU, look at the recent changes in supposed changes in Star Wars. We have seen less of the Star Wars stuff, but still, like, we have seen some changes in these properties. So for them to completely flip that around and go with, not that I dislike Rachel Zegler, I just feel like this role is not something that makes sense to put her in. Also, why do we need to remake this movie? Like, this just the timeliness is way off. Unless you're going to fundamentally change the story of this movie to something more modern, at which point, why do this at all again? Because you're just going to piss off everyone at that point. Not just the people who are already going to be mad that you're putting Rachel Zegler in the lead, but then everyone who was a fan of the original movie, because, like, there's a good message there. There's stuff, there's substance, and you're changing the fundamental elements of that. The substance goes away. So this one seems a little bit less likely, though not unlikely. So we're going to say about 40% that we're going to be seeing Rachel Zegler in the lead role for The Sound of Music. Like, really? What the Continuing on, let's talk about Avengers Doomsday. We now have a new rumor that has placed Luke Cage's character squarely in the movie. Avengers Doomsday is going to be a gigantic cast. Fan servicey thing to do would have a cameo of some sort for Luke Cage. I don't think that means anything bigger going forward for the character, but I do think it is going to go a long way to do some fan service. So that the big part of that is 70%. Also, the source is pretty solid. So 70% likely we will be seeing Luke Cage in Avengers Doomsday. Next up, we have a Star Wars rumor that is only in name a Star Wars rumor, but it goes that Dakota Johnson, the 50 Shades Grey broad, she was also in the Madam Web. She was Madam Web. She is now reportedly cast in an undisclosed role for an undisclosed Star Wars movie. The way this one came out and through the sources that it did very much seems like the people that Dakota Johnson has, like, getting her involved in things, like her manager and her agent and so on and so forth, sounds like they might just be putting things out to rumor mongers, saying that this is a thing just to kind of test the waters so they can see if that's something they would actively want to pursue, because people may or may not actually want to see Dakota Johnson in a Star Wars movie. So I don't think this is legit. So we're looking at about 20% likely that Dakota Johnson will actually be in a Star Wars movie. From there, we're going to talk about Obi-Wan. This one's interesting. Comes from a freaking solid source who has a pretty good track record, but also kind of flies in the face of a lot of the things that we already know to be true about the Obi-Wan stuff. Ewan McGregor has alluded to there not being a second season for the show. A number of other things have really led us to believe that they're not going to do it, though they haven't said explicitly, because they do want to leave it on the table that they could potentially do this someday. I'm sure. It is Disney. They do like money after all. And Obi-Wan did okay. It wasn't great, but some of it was watchable, I guess we could say. Like, by and large, I didn't even finish. I didn't watch the last episode because I was so disappointed with it. But that's just me, and I'm an asshole. So, like, the second season seems to potentially be in the cards. It just doesn't, I don't know. There's a lot of things I think they have to correct first before that happens. And I don't know if they can get them done in time to keep Ewan McGregor's interest, unless his only interest is money, in which case they're going to do it anyway. So we're going to put this one right down the middle. 50% likely that there will be a second season of Obi-Wan. Just there's a lot of stuff on both sides, so it could go either way. And then our final rumor for this episode is the X Academy. Previously, there was supposedly in the works a Nova Academy show for Disney Plus, and now that has altered from Nova to X-Men, being the Professor Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters is getting a series, supposedly, on Disney Plus that is going to introduce the MCU to the concept of mutants, and specifically the X-Men, before we get an actual X-Men movie, according to the rumor. But the source is not great, though there have been a number of other sources also reporting on this, so that kind of plays in its favor. But if we're looking at the hard evidence of what's been stated by Disney at this point, and that is we're rolling things back, we're not going to have characters from TV shows play major roles in movies and vice versa. We also are going to be doing less properties in the MCU per year. Those two things are really counting against this. If it wasn't for those two announcements, this would be much, much higher in probability. But as it stands right now, we're looking at about 30% likely that we will actually be seeing the X Academy, or whatever the hell they're going to call such a show. So that is what we have for rumors, for new rumors. Let's talk about a little bit of speculation, because I feel like the Mortal Kombat 2 thing is starting to ramp up the hype machine for it. So I think this is totally speculation. It's very minor speculation on my part as well, because there wasn't anything really to speculate on this week that was like big and crazy. But I do think we're going to be seeing a Mortal Kombat 2 trailer sometime before the end of September. I'm super stoked for it. I can't imagine. If they have a final cut of the movie, then that means all that's left is promotion, and so we should be seeing it soon. Honestly, I would say sooner rather than later, but to kind of hedge my bets a little bit, we're going to say September is the deadline. If we don't see something by the end of September, then I'm completely wrong, but that's my speculation for the episode. That's what we got for the rumor mill this week, nerds. And it's finally happened. It took me an extra 2 weeks just because I couldn't get the damn logo right, but we do have our merch push for June, now that it's July. So it's going to be up for a little while because I totally missed the mark. It legitimately took me 2 weeks to figure out how to get the logo to work and still be legible and still fit with the other line of stuff. But it is the new Music Nerd shirt. It is the special shirt that we're running right now, the original Music Nerd, if you will, because it is the Phantom of the Opera on the cover, or on the design. It's pretty awesome. I legitimately had a lot of fun, even though it took me longer. A lot of fun designing this one, because I'd never actually done a death metal logo before, and that's what I did effectively for the Music Nerd text. It's a death. It looks like tree roots. It's much more legible than most death metal bands' logos, but you know, it's still fun. Either way, go check out the merch store linked in the description. You can get your copy or your shirt. I couldn't find the hoodie that I put all the other designs on, so unfortunately the zip-up hoodie is not available, but we do have a bunch of shirts and things. I'm pretty sure I put it on a pullover hoodie instead of the zip-up, because again, I couldn't find it. But either way, that is there finally. I'm super proud of it. Go check out the store. That's all I have to say. Let's get back to the show. Thank you very much, nerds, for tuning in. If you want to level up your nerdy, geeky, pop culture knowledge, then don't forget to subscribe and do all of the things. Go check out the main channel, Generally Nerdy, for the larger portion. Again, you get all of the sections into one convenient video over on Generally Nerdy. The name of the show is The Week in Nerddom. Thank you for checking out this clip. We will see you next time. Before we go, though, always remember that if it's generally nerdy, it's probably here.